back.
As far as festivals, we are doing the Arlington Viking Fest this year, and we're setting up an actual Norman display, so we're going to talk about the Normans exporting everything. Oh, Minnesota.
Minnesota, that's what we got too.
So, like, are we talking, like, Vikings finding North America?
Yeah, and the Kensington Runestone. And
yeah, I haven't looked into that in a while. I was always everyone's looked at it skeptically as what I last remember of it, right? Has there been any new? I haven't followed it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out not to be a hoax. Like, I could see it being real, but
so there's a little piece of you that kind of wants it to be, you
it'd
think?
be cool. Just, because we always like, Columbus found everything.
Well,
that's at least gotten better of late, right?
Yeah, so in the 1960s, there was Laos of Madu in Newfoundland, Canada, that there was actually a Viking settlement there.
Right.
And so that is on the archaeological record. It's been dated to circa 1000 AD, which is what was expected to be when that happened. And so the Vinland sagas do have some archaeological founding now. So.
Yeah, but I mean, even still today, it's hard to
But it's not
really find
Minnesota.
It's not quite Minnesota. But they all sure seemed to like it when they came over in the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah. So is that about when your grandpa came over?
Yeah, great grandpa. My dad's grandpa. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. It's been a while since I've looked into it, but yeah, he came over late 1800s. And then we got some records of him in the military at some point. I think World War I for America. So,
well, that's cool. And so you were talking about part of why you chose your persona is for armoring capabilities and stuff. So does your fighting does it feel like it's part of an expression of some of that identity?
Yeah, to an extent. None of the heraldry I chose is necessary. I mean, it's not really identifiable to anywhere in particular. It was all just kind of personal items that spoke to me at the time. And I'm usually trying to portray something between, and that's even evolved because I started like as a really early Norman, like Third Crusade is kind of where I really like from a medieval standpoint. I just like the people in that era really fascinate me. Saladin, Richard the Lionheart, King Philip, William, William Marshall. Yeah, I can't believe that escaped me.
I love William Marshall.
Right? So I love those just massive pillars of history, and most of them are descendants of William the Conqueror's Normans that came into England. So as I've wanted to get a little bit later period in armor, I had to keep finding somehow to tie into that Norman to still loop back to Scandinavia.
So have a little bit of those roots still showing a bit.
Yep, just a little.
That's awesome. And so is there I know I already asked you about your kids, but like is there any plans in the future to like have them come along with you when you travel or?
Yeah, we left them home for Ireland because they were younger, and it was just easier. But yeah, they're definitely, well, they both want to go back to Ireland. They're like, you left without us. But I imagine they're old enough now to appreciate a trip like that. So when we went to Ireland, our youngest was 3. Ooh. So just spending the money for something that may not be that well remembered was tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, my son's actually working on some armor, and I made him do a little bit of research on it, and so at least trying to instill the little bit of a history bug in it, at least, if not specifically, it's a family heritage, but the enjoyment of looking back and figuring out how things were.
So you do have a pretty big household in this organization, and you camp together. Do you have any structuring, like politically? Is it like inspired by your like Norman side a bit, or?
To some extent, we pretty much just stole the English order of precedence kind of idea, which was instilled by William. So I mean, it still goes back to that. But for our thing, new members, we don't have a lot of expectations with them. But what we really do in Arendor is it's a pay-to-play almost. But when you get your garb put together, you're recognized as a different rank. When you get your tent, you get a different rank. When you have your armor or your your music kit or your art or whatever your interest is, whenever you're capable of pursuing your interest independently, you get another rank. And it kind of goes up from the unlanded peasantry to the landed peasantry to then the gentry. It's kind of how we treat it in there. And then even within our barony, our personal household is more of a historical representation of a Norman Irish household in Ireland. So we really narrow it down for our group there. And there's about 4 of us that do that. So 4 or 5 of us within the barony.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah. One that just wandered by with the round shield. He's an Irish fighter that came with the wife that's been conscripted, basically. So he's my man at arms.
Nice.
As a gift from the Irish clan. He might turn on me.
Gift.
Yeah, he might turn on me at any time.
So do you have any other thoughts on, your, Norwegian-ness or any of what we've been talking about?
A lot of folks think the influence of Scandinavia ends in, 800 AD, 900 AD, the end of that Viking age, but there's so much more that happens, even late period in Norway and Sweden. Mostly Sweden. I think Sweden did most of the kingdom building, and Norway just got fought over. But Denmark and Sweden had a lot of interesting interactions, and there's a lot. It gets overshadowed by, I think, a lot of folks that always think of the traditional Western Europe, England, France, Germany, Holy Roman Empire, but Germany and Italy, and they forget that Scandinavia was still very much involved with all of those European politics, and a lot of the power bases that built those Western European powers came from Scandinavian descent.
It sounds like you're really passionate about it, which is awesome. It's cool to see I'm not alone. Well, if you have...
Who let the dogs out? Bad humor.
Bad humor's good humor. So, yeah, if you have any other thoughts or whatever, after the fact, you know how to get a hold of me.
Will do.
And if I have any follow-up questions, I'll bug you too.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for talking to me. When we actually start looking at doing our exhibit in the future, I may track you down again. Cool. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Looks like lunch might be
And how do I spell your persona name real quick?
Turalyon.
Turalyon. Turalyon.
Apparently it's a character in World of Warcraft.
Oh no.
No idea. I found the name way back when as like some marginally successful French tournament night, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, and so I started using it. But it's also like a keynote character in World of Warcraft that I've never played, and everyone's like, what about who? I'm like,
oh no.
So that's my.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You rock.
Thank you. Good luck with your